ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday session. I'm very sorry that we had to skip 3 sessions because of the travel schedule, but we will recover now slowly. So today, I think we need to recapture a little bit about Kathopanishad. In the first chapter, we will start the third Valli today. We have covered 2 Vallis. The first Valli is primarily about Nachiketa, going to Yamraj's place and waiting there for three nights and 3 days without food. And then Yamraj, offering him 3 boons. And of course, he asked those 3 boons. The last boon was that after the death, is there anything that is left? If so, what is that and where does it go? That was reference to Atma, that after the death, what is left? If there is anything left, where it goes? So from where the substantive conversation started between the two. And the first Valli dealt with, basically a few issues, but the second Valli was dedicated to the entire issue of Atma. It started with Shrey and prayer, that we remain engaged in prayer most of the time because of yogshem, that we have secured our, food, habitation, everything for today, and we want to secure it for tomorrow and day after and thereafter and thereafter. And in this process, we remain engaged in the world in the mode of prayer, not in Shrey. And we ignore discovery of reality, or we ignore realizing our own selves. So that conversation continued. In that conversation, Yamraj also mentioned that many people who earn enough wealth or power and they feel that they know everything, and therefore they start leading others. And then he gave the example that Andha is leading the Andha, that the blind man is leading the blind people. And therefore that is how the world continues to move. And that's what happens in our real life these days. We always follow the examples of those people who are rich and powerful, and therefore remain engaged in the pursuit of power and riches. That is what it meant. And then when we come down to the second Valli, mantra number 14, then Nachiketa asks another question, very fascinating question, that what is beyond dharma and adharma, what is beyond cause and outcome, and what is beyond present, past, and future. So he is asking a power which is transcending all that. Can you explain me that power? And that was another very substantive question by Nachiketa. That tell me what is that. In Hindi it reads like this: जो धर्म और अधर्म से परे है, जो कार्य और कारण से भी परे है, और जो भूत और भविष्य से भी परे है. What is that force, and can you explain that to me? And in response to that, then the Yamraj explained to him, it started with Om, and in 3 mantras he explained about the Om, and then he explained in that language of paradox what is the supreme? Obviously, that means that the supreme is without birth and death. He is eternal. He is all the time. He is without cause and outcome. He is beyond time. He is answering the questions which were raised by Nachiketa. And he cannot be killed. He does not kill. In fact, these two mantras, mantra number 18 and 19, they come in more or less the same form in Bhagavad Gita, also in chapter 2nd. Ne jayate mriyate vapishchit. Without any birth, without any death. Ajo nitya sasvato ayam purano ne hanyate hanyamane sarire. That he is always eternal, saswat. Puran means, always existed. And nobody can kill him. Ne hanyate, ne hanyamane, and he cannot kill anybody. So then he continues that he can be near and far. He can be sleeping and still everywhere. So all those, words which we need, we call them paradoxical words, which are essential to describe the Supreme. That language was used. Though he is in all the bodies, but he himself is bodiless. Asariri. So that kind of, Anu Aniyan, he is smaller than the smallest and he is bigger than the biggest. So all that came into being, and he also said that Tarkatit, this kind of existence is beyond our mental prowess, beyond our intellectual prowess. The intellectual prowess cannot explain this. It is Tarkatit. It has to be learned through what we call Shraddha, complete surrender and trust. That is the only way to learn that. So this is where it continued, and then the last two verses which we covered in our last session, it said that those people who who do not have very developed intellect, and who are not who are still engaged in bad activities, and those whose mind is very ashant, very all the time in turbulence, and those who are not able to control their sense organs, they cannot understand him. So these are the four negative things. If we want to understand the Supreme, we have to sharpen our intellect. We have to modify our conduct to the right conduct according to dharma. We have to cool and make our mind very calm and quiet, and we have to control our sense organs. So these are the qualifications of a sadhak, of a person who wants to understand him. Now we will start Valli number 3. Now Valli number 3 is very important. I would call it the core of this Upanishad. It gives us very practical examples to understand ourselves, this world, and the Supreme, all the three. So we will go into this Valli with, with some conviction that we will try to emulate at least part of it. So let's start with Valli number 3 and mantra number 1. Ritam pibanto sukratasya loke. Now Rit is basically reference to the law of nature, the truth, like the sun rises and sunsets. There's a movement of the planets, there's movement of earth, There is gravity in this universe. So all the forces that regulate the nature, normally they are called Rit. But Rit is actually the meaning that it is the truth, the Satya, the Sat. That is what Rit actually means. And here the meaning of Rit is slightly different. It says that whatever action you do, it will have its consequences, which is also the truth. So here the reference of Rit is basically action and reaction. That whatever action you have, they will not die on their own, they will have consequences, and you will have to live those consequences. There's no way you can escape them. That is the truth in this sense. So ritam pibanto, that you have to take the consequences of whatever actions you do. Now, this is one thing which is very, very commonly understood, not only in Hinduism, but in all the religions. In Christianity, they say that whatever you give to the world, it comes back to you. In Islam also, there's a similar saying that whatever you reap, whatever you sow, the harvest will come according to that. So this principle of your actions is universally accepted. And this is what has been said here, that if you do good work, you will reap the good harvest. If you do, wrong activities, you will have to take the wrong consequences. Now, the second line of this mantra says, Guham pravisto parme pararthe. That Supreme is sitting in the Guha. Guham pravisto. He is sitting in the Guha. Guha is now, in this Upanishad, they are calling it the Guha of your intellectual progress, Buddhi, Pragya, behind the Pragya. But in some Upanishad, it is reference to the heart, that, in the Hriday Rupi Guha mein baithe hue hain. But that doesn't make any difference. It basically means that the Supreme is sitting inside you. He is sitting inside you, and he is deciding all the outcomes of all the actions that you are performing. Now the next line is very important. Chaya tapo brahma viddo vadanti. Chaya tapo. That he is in two forms, in the form of light and in the form of shadow. Now this is clear reference to what we call, Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma is the light. Jivatma is the shadow of that light. It is what we call, Vibhu. Vibhu is Paramatma, that is prevalent everywhere. And Ans is a small part of that is Chaya. So here the reference is Vibhu and Chaya. Sorry, the light and Chaya. Now this light and Chaya reference is even better, because without light you cannot have Chaya. The shadow is not possible without light. The light must exist. So reference it is also there in Mundak Upanishad. We saw that the two birds are sitting on the tree. One is tasting, the outcome of the actions, and one is observing. एक भोग कर रहा है और दूसरा दृष्टा है, सिर्फ देख रहा है. So here also it is the same reference. But this reference explains things even better. That one Paramatma is like the light, and Jivatma is like the small shadow of that light, appearing in that light. Now, from that shadow, using that shadow, we have to discover the Paramatma. Now, the instrument with which we are working is Jivatma, and we are also discovering Paramatma, which is also linked to Jivatma, in fact, who gave appearance to Jivatma. So basically, what it says is that what you are going to discover is the same with which you are going to discover. And everything is inside your guha, inside your Hriday Rupi guha or your Pragya Rupi guha. So everything is inside you, Paramatma and Jivatma. And we have to discover them by using our own intellectual prowess and Jivatma. So the same instrument will discover the truth, and the truth is also the same instrument. So this is very fascinating that we are going to discover with Jivatma. Jivatma is actually, how shadow comes into being. When there's a light and there's a small little obstruction to the light, the shadow comes into being. So Jivatma is like that small little obstruction. But that Jivatma looks like that it is appearing. The light all around will not be visible, but the shadow is visible. That is what happens in our life, that our own self becomes more important than the universal self. So with our own self, we are trying to discover the universal self. So by using that shadow, we are trying to discover the light prevailing all over. So that is what it means. So chaya tapo brahma vidyo vadanti. That is what the learned people say, that this is the relationship between the two. Panchagniyo ye ne Nachiketa. Then it says that we have seen what was Nachiketa Agni. Nachiketa Agni, the name was given by Yamraj himself. And this is that Agni which takes you to Swarglok. It is not the Agni which takes you to Paramatma, which is not the one which unites you with the Supreme, but it takes you to Swarglok, gives you all the comforts of life and no fears, but it does not unite you with the Supreme. So here it says that even those people who have experienced that kind of experience of Nachiketa Agni and Panchagni, that is the people who are in the world living and worshipping Panchagni, even they also believe that the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma is that of light and shadow. So this is what the first mantra of this Upanishad says. So it explains the relationship between Paramatma and Jivatma, and also talks about the outcome of the karmas, that you can never escape the outcome of karmas. You have to live to experience that outcome. And that is basically means that if you are doing that kind of karma which are resulting into some outcome, it means you have to come back to this world to experience that outcome. So in one single mantra, there are two very profound things which have been explained here. Then we go to mantra number 2. Mantra number 2 is more like a prayer to the Supreme by Yamraj. It says that, Yamraj himself is praying to the Supreme. So you can imagine Yamraj is considered by us as Devta. Yam, Mrityu ka Devta. He is regulating. He is like, Yam. Yam is a word which has been used by Patanjali to tell us the rules of life. Yam Niyam, that is the first foundation of his Ashtanga theory. Now, Yam Niyam means regulating certain things. And most important regulator in life is the death. because everything gradually depreciates and finally, meets the fate of death. So death is the most important regulator, and that is why the Yamraj is also called Yamraj, because he is regulating this world. Without death, you cannot regulate this world. And death is something which is the most important regulation. Like you see the laws of, various countries, we make these laws. There also, the most important part of the law is the punishment to the person who has done a crime. Now, the most important punishment is the capital punishment, punishment of death. It is the same thing. Regulating the society means you have to enforce the laws. Similarly, here, the laws are being enforced by Yamraj, and the most important, we can call it punishment, or most important final end to regulate the world is the death. And that is why, he is called Yamraj, and Yam basically means the rules which are regulating the life. So he himself is now praying to the Supreme. Ye seturi janam manaksharam Brahm yat param abhyam titir tashanant param Nachiketa sake mahi. It says that uh, in Nachiketa Agni, the point is that you become fearless, because those who go to Swarg, they are fearless. They don't have the fear of death. They don't have the fear of, distress coming to them, because there were all kinds of comforts and conveniences. So he says, like in Nachiketa Agni, there's no fear at all. And he is praying to the Supreme that make us fearless and enable us to overcome the hurdles that we face in this world. Give us the support, Paramasra, that is, give us the support, and so that we can become capable of understanding the Supreme, so that we can understand you. So Yamraj is saying that make us fearless, that is one thing. Secondly, that give us the support so that we can transcend this world, and then we can understand the Supreme. So three things he is asking in this prayer: fearlessness, transcending the temptations of this world, and the capability to understand the Supreme and uniting with him. So this is the prayer which he is mentioning here. Now the mantra number 3 and 4 are in fact very widely quoted and very well explain this entire world and our functioning. I will not go into complete detail of these two mantras. We will take them in greater detail in the next session, but we will briefly go over them, and then we will, try to understand them better in our next session. Now, Atmanam Rathim Vidhi Sariram Rathmevatu Buddhim tu Sarthim Vidhi Mana Pragrah Himevcha. Now it says it's a very good simulation of the world and our functioning of our body. That it says that the Atma is like the owner of the vehicle or Rath, owner of the Rath. He is sitting in the center of the Rath, like Arjun was sitting in the Rath. And then he says, this body is like the Rath. The body is the Rath. And Atma is the owner of this Rath. That is, and the human intellect the intellectual prowess, intellectual power, that is like our sarthi. That is the person who is supporting our journey in this life. Because with intellectual prowess, we analyze, we decide, and we take decisions what to do, what not to do. So that is like sarthi. Like in that case, Krishna was sarthi for Arjun. And the Rath is like the body. Arjun in that case was owner of that Rath. Krishna was sarthi. So, and then mind. What is mind? Mind is like lagam. You have that rope which controls the horses. That is the lagam. So mind is that. Intellect directs the mind, and then the mind, controls those horses. So that is like lagam. And then the next verse says, Indriyani ayanasu varshiyasva satevsu gocharan atmendriya manoyuktam bhokekta yuk nishanay. Then he says that Indriya, the sense organs are like horses. They are like horses. Mind is like lagam. Buddhi is like sarthi. The Rath is the body, and the owner of the Rath is the Atma. And it says the path on which you travel all around you. That path is this sansar. This path has all kinds of temptations. Like horses, when they are going in that path, they will find, their food all around. So they will start taking that food. The grass, beautiful grass they will find. And they find that grass, they try to eat, they go here and there, turn around. So similarly, this whole world is full of temptations, is the one in which we are traveling, and it is attracting our sense organs. And then the sense organs are controlled by our mind by intellect, and intellect is controlled by Atma. So this is a very good, what you call, example of explaining our functioning, our human functioning in this world, how it operates, and how we get involved into this. So we will try to understand a little bit in greater detail this in next session also, but let's try to understand today. Now let's start with what you call pasture. The pasture in which the horses are galloping. What happens in that pasture? In that pasture, a variety of temptations are there. Like the world in which we are moving, performing our journey, there are many temptations. The temptations are in the form of wealth, in the form of power, in the form of prestige. That is our temptations. In the form of tasty food, in the form of sexual desires, in the form of something else may come up. Now those are the temptations. The horses are moving in that area of temptation. The horses are our sense organs. They are moving into that area of temptation. Now our sense organs catch those temptations. They are seduced by those temptations. Somebody is seduced by money. Somebody is seduced by power. Somebody is seduced by prestige. Somebody is seduced by sexual desire. Somebody is seduced by, something else. Say, beautiful music. Somebody is seduced by something else. So all these there are hundreds of temptations in this world, which is like the pasture, which is like the open field in which we perform our journey. So these temptations keep our sense organs engaged, fully engaged. Some the sense organs of sight will want to look at beautiful things, so you go around looking at beautiful things. Our ear want to hear, very soothing music or sounds. So here, they, they want to take you in that direction. Our tongue wants to have very tasty food. So the tongue is pushing you in that direction. Our nostril want to have good smell, so they are pushing you in that direction. Your hands want to touch something very soft and nice, so they are pushing you in that direction. So all these five sense organs, they are pushing you in different directions. Like the horses are finding, temptations in that pasture. So they go here, go there, and, they are moving. Similarly, we are also getting lost into this pasture of world because of these temptations and because our sense organs keep looking for those temptations. So this is the beginning. Now, how do we control those sense organs? The control is through the mind. The mind is the first one, but mind along with intellect, that is the sarthi. Sarthi is the intellect. Now, intellect will analyze, will tell you, this is good for your health, this is not good. This is legal, this is not legal. This is ethical, this is not ethical. So these kind of questions will be analyzed by the intellect, by the sarthi. That sarthi is the intellectual prowess. And that intellectual prowess will issue instructions for the mind that control this sense organ. This sense organ is going in the wrong direction. Pull the lagam. And none of these things can work properly. So the body has to work properly as well. And the body is, we also call it anna kos. It is made of the food. And that body has to be healthy. Otherwise, your mind will not be healthy. Your sense organs will not be healthy. Your intellectual capability will also be poor. So the body has to be healthy as well. So all these things have been beautifully explained in these two mantras, that how our movement in this world happens, how we live, how we are tempted, how we are guided, and what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths. And then it will continue further down. So these two mantras, I think we should meditate over them and try to simulate with our, body parts, the entire posture of this world should be like temptations. It's like full of temptations, like the posture for the horses. And horses are like our sense organs. The lagam is like mind. And then the intellectual power is sarthi, which tells the lagam, move these horses in this direction, that direction, control these horses. And the body, and of course, the owner of the body. So we will devote some more time on this on the next session. But basically, this is a very profound example to enable us to understand our life and the world and how we move into this world. And this is the most quoted part of this Upanishad, these two, mantras, most quoted part. There are many others, but these two are definitely most quoted. And that example of chaya and light, that's also very, very profound example. That is the relationship between Paramatma and Jivatma. So I will conclude it here today, and we will continue our discussion in the next session, which will again be in the evening by Indian Standard Time. Thank you so much. Thank you.